welcome to Unedited. I hope today finds you well. We are here, episode 11. My name is Jordan, and I'm joined by Charis.
Once again.
And you're back again.
Yes.
Yeah. How does it feel to be back?
It feels good. Third week in a row. We'll see what next week brings.
Oh, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for filling in. Ethan's away still, and it's good to have you here. And we're going to chat about some fun stuff today. We're going to start with In My Feed.
In My Feed.
A story that's brewing right now in Saskatchewan. Now, there's a lot of music fans in this province, right?
Yeah.
And especially Swifties.
Of course.
Don't need to explain any further, right? People love Taylor Swift, right? And there's campaigns lately that have been happening around the province to bring her back and to that she'd come perform here again. Now, apparently she did perform here a few times, right? I think 2010 was the last time she was in Saskatoon for some award show. She did Craven before that. She was in the province previous to that, but it's been a long time. And there's been stories going around here that one of them says here that today, actually, at Midtown Mall in Saskatoon, Midtown Plaza Mall, whatever it's called, something like that, they're actually making the world's longest bracelet as their goal, friendship bracelet. And it's an effort to bring Taylor back to Saskatchewan. So what do you think of all this?
I mean, when does a bracelet stop being a bracelet is the first thing that comes to my mind. But that's so crazy.
It is crazy.
I just found out 5 minutes before we started filming that this was even a thing.
Yeah, it says bring bracelets from home, leave them open at the ends if you can, and come make new ones. We've got everything you need. It's on till 2:00. So how long will this have to stretch? Will this stretch across the whole mall?
I don't know. Do you know how long it has to be?
I don't know. I should have looked into those facts, but it's going to have to be some sort of record, and it's probably going to have to loop around. It's going to have to connect again because, like you said, it can't just be a long string, right?
Yeah.
It has to look like a bracelet. So it's going to have to...
Do you think they'll have it up and down the escalitors then or something like that?
That's what I wonder, right? If that's kind of what's happening there. And but that their goal is to make the world's biggest friendship bracelet in an attempt to convince Taylor to come back to Saskatchewan. Now, this has been going on for a while, okay? This isn't the first attempt. Actually, the town of Swift Current. Are you familiar with that place at all?
I am. I spent about 8 years of my life there.
Did you? Okay. They even offered to rename themselves. I think, what was it going to be? Taylor Swift Current? Or Swifty Current.
No. Oh, that's so terrible.
If she would agree to come back and play Saskatchewan, which, because I've never lived there, I think it's kind of a fun idea to an extent.
Crazy.
Because Swift is in the name, right? But there seems to be campaigns going on here to get people to bring her back. Producer Ashley just updated us here. The longest friendship bracelet measures 852.19 meters. And was created at Valley Creek Elementary School, USA, in McKinney, Texas, USA, on April 28, 2023. So this is a recent record that's just been started. Yeah, so they're going to have to do 852 meters of friendship bracelet. 853 probably.
Probably.
To beat it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Are you going to head on down?
I am not. I'm working today, but... maybe an evangelism tactic, but Swift Current, the article that Ashley's put here in the document for us says that it was a temporary rename.
Okay.
So not permanent, which does make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling, though, that if it did happen, that sign would always stand at the beginning of the entrance.
Yeah?
Yeah, you know how Edmonton, when you drive in, it still says City of Champions, even though they haven't been champions in a long time? They're referencing their cups that they won when Wayne Gretzky was there, right? And probably too soon, Edmonton. Sorry, I shouldn't really be talking about that right now, I guess.
Yeah, after they just lost the playoffs, too.
So shouldn't be rubbing salt in the wound here or nothing. But in that same way, I could sort of see them keeping the Swifty Current or whatever they call it sign up
maybe
long after it happens.
Do you think they would have put a sign up to spend that much money?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it would bring a lot of tourism into Swift. Not that there's a lot to tour. I love Swift with my whole heart. The creek is a special place for me, but...
Okay. The thing I know about Swift Current is the hockey team. You got the Broncos.
Yes,
so.
The Broncos. I watched a couple of games. That was before I would watch hockey.
Okay.
I had a friend, and she would often bring me, or a few times she brought me to the rink. I couldn't have cared less about the hockey, but it's more of the social.
I was going to say they'd have a good barn because those smaller cities, I find get the real passionate fans and the fans who like to go a bit crazy. But they're trying to bring Taylor back. So today, if we're at Midtown Plaza building the world's biggest friendship bracelet. Swift Current's thrown their name in the hat. Apparently they did something similar to this at the Cornwall Center recently. I'm not sure how that turned out, but that's in Regina. And so people want Taylor Swift back.
Are you a big Swiftie,
and they're going to great lengths.
Jordan?
I'm not a Swiftie, actually. I don't mind Taylor Swift. I really don't have an issue. She was in my feed a ton last year because of football and
with
dating
Charis
Travis
tour
Kelce.
and,
Yeah, the tour was happening. My wife likes Taylor Swift, and coincidentally, my daughters appreciate her music too. And so I don't know, but it is interesting that people are going to this length to make sure that this happens. And I guess it is kind of a fun story to an extent. We'll see if their hard work pays off and whether or not Taylor makes a return to Saskatchewan sometime soon.
Tickets are going to be crazy if she does.
Well,
though.
can you imagine that? And apparently, like the tickets for the Eras tour were like lottery, right? It's Eras tour, right? Is what's called Eras? Eras tour.
Like the different eras of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so she kind of went through the different parts of her career, which I guess she had her country phase and kind of went into her more rock phase and then poppy phase and
then
now she's got her Jack Antonoff phase. Sorry, he's the producer, and
yes, I know.
And I find that he produces the same record for everyone, but that's just my personal opinion. So not bitter about that whatsoever. Good on you, Jack. You make the hits, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see if this actually pans out to be something. But it's got people around here excited and buzzing, and so I guess it is what it is. You got any final words about this story? Do you hope she comes?
I mean, I would love to go see her, but I don't really have the money as a college student working at the church.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I bet you it's going to be a pricey show.
it will be very pricey, but it would be really fun, and it would be really cool even for the city.
Yeah.
Right, to have people and different vendors and that kind of thing to be able to make a little bit of money. And
And what I meant to say, sorry, and I should have finished my thought when I was talking about her tour, the Eras tour, is that the last shows that went on sale were all done by lottery, right? So you had to get tickets. First, you had to enter a lottery to have the opportunity to buy tickets, and if you didn't get an opportunity, then you weren't getting in. And I assume similar thing would happen here. Yeah. And it wouldn't just be Saskatchewan people attending this show.
Oh no,
this would be all over the country,
all over Canada, even from the States,
Absolutely.
right? Like North Dakota would drive up. Easy.
Yeah, people might even fly in for it. Like if people are very in love with Taylor and her music. So. But anyhow, Saskatchewan, have fun today. Have fun building that bracelet. I actually want to see the finished result.
I would love to see that.
It'll look cool. Probably be on C95's Instagram and stuff. You'll probably catch it all on there. That's where we first caught wind of this story. But with that, we're going to move into something a little different. It's time for us to parlay.
Parley.
Now, this is your first time doing a parlay, right?
It is.
Because you've just done it in my feed, haven't you?
Yeah,
since
the
you've
last
been on the
couple
show.
Of weeks here.
Okay, so parlay is a time where we settle some long-standing dilemmas once and for all. Okay, we're gonna get fully completed 100% answers here, right?
Okay.
So
I love a good debate.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
ready.
We're not gonna get any answers, but we're gonna have fun talking about it nonetheless. But today, what we're gonna parlay is ice cream. And whether you prefer ice cream. Do you like ice cream, first of all?
I love ice cream.
Yeah? What's your favorite flavor?
That's a hard one.
Okay.
I often, actually, this is so controversial.
Okay.
I really love mint chocolate chip.
Okay. That's fine.
Lots of people really have strong opinions about that one.
Yeah.
And then I find that when I go out for ice cream, though, I want a fruitier flavor. Actually, if you go to Fable, they have a lemon squared ice cream, which is really good.
Okay.
Or I really like cherry cheesecake ice cream.
Okay. Did you try something different every time, or you always order your favorites?
It depends. Sometimes I feel adventurous, but it's nice to have a safe fallback, you know?
Interesting.
Like if I'm going to spend $5, $6 on ice cream, I want to know that I'm going to like the ice cream.
That you're going to like it. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Or at least the flavor in there is something that sounds like you're going to kind of enjoy it, right?
Yeah. What about you? Do you have a favorite?
I actually like the kid ice cream a lot. So if I
like superhero or
Super Kid, it was my favorite. They used to sell that Loris Accord in the malls. Rainbow. I like Rainbow. I like bubblegum. Cotton candy's a bit too sweet for me, but I like those kind of flavors a ton.
Really?
And then I just like plain vanilla sometimes, or cookies and cream or something like that. I'm not crazy adventurous when it comes to ice cream. I like I blizzards and stuff like that every now and then. For me, ice cream's tough actually because I'm lactose intolerant. So I brave it sometimes.
Yeah.
And, especially if I have my pills with me or whatever, right? And I'll eat it. But as I've gotten older, that's gotten worse. And so I don't eat a crazy ton of ice cream. But we see a note here. Chardon ice cream? Chardon ice cream. Saskatoon's best ice cream shot. Toasted coconut soft cone dip. That actually sounds pretty good, eh?
Yes. Ashley was telling me about it yesterday, actually.
Okay.
She was like, you have to get this one in a cone. You can't get it in a cup.
Okay.
So-
That would make sense with soft ice cream, I think, for sure. So is there any ice cream flavors you've tried and don't like you're
I do
opposed
not
to?
like Tiger.
I'm in the same boat.
I don't like black licorice.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I love the orange part of it. So actually what I want is a creamsicle.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't like the black licorice.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I think Tiger would probably be my least favorite as well. Yeah. Otherwise, for the most part, most of them I could probably eat to some extent. Mint's an interesting one for me. I don't know if I like it or dislike it. It's a tough one for me. Yeah. Like
That's so interesting. It's so divisive. I would have thought you had an opinion.
No opinion on that. But what I do have an opinion on is whether I like to eat ice cream in a cone or in a dish. So we each have to pick a side here.
Okay.
Why don't you pick a side first?
I will go with an ice cream cone to support Ashley and her toasted coconut soft dip.
There you go. Okay. And I'll argue that ice cream is better than a dish. So why don't we go back and forth here?
Okay.
Give me a reason why you like ice cream better in a cone.
Well, first of all, you don't have to carry any garbage around. Like, that's the thing. You go and you get ice cream and you're walking around with your friends in the park, right? Like, I don't want to have to find a garbage can.
Okay.
And I'm not going to litter, right? So you just eat the container that your ice cream is coming in. So it's less waste, really.
Okay. I can understand that. I can understand that for sure, especially if the goal is to go for a walk and do something. Yeah, sometimes it's tough to find that garbage can, and you have to carry this cup with you all over the place wherever you go, because you don't litter. So you're going to do that, right?
That's right, because we take care of the earth.
There you go. We're teaching everything here on episode 11 today. But part of the reason why I like the cup is because you could eat slower. You don't have to rush it. There's less melting happening. I find sometimes with the cone, if you're not quick, you get it all over your hands, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Which is going to lead me into my second thought, and then I'll come back to you. We'll do this like a snake draft. You get one, I get two. You get two, I get one.
Okay,
we'll do it like
perfect.
that. Okay?
I like it.
All right, but so you eat slower. There's no rush. There's less melting, and there's less chance of the ice cream falling to the ground. It's less sticky. There's more control. I'm really thinking of my daughters here when I make this point, because sometimes we take them for ice cream and we get them cones, and I say to my wife, why did we get them cones, right? Like, we should have put these things in dishes, because like Jovi's hand is ice cream, like, within, especially if it's plus 30 or 35 out, right?
It melts so
her
fast.
hand is ice cream. So for kids, I find sometimes the dish is a bit better. For adults, I don't think they struggle with that quite as much. So
I don't know.
do you struggle with that?
I went to camp the other week, and I got ice cream in a cone.
Okay.
I actually got a coconut soft
Okay.
serve in a cone, and I was eating it, and it's melting so fast. And there's a picture of me with ice cream dripping down my arm, actually.
So this problem affects everyone, I guess. You didn't go to that place in Rostern, did you? To get ice
Actually,
cream?
Ashley and I went.
Okay.
And so this was a different time that we were going.
That's like a legend place, I hear.
Yeah, we were going up to Living Waters Camp, which you should totally check out if you're in Saskatchewan. And on our way home, we stopped at this ice cream place and we got parfaits, and they were enormous, like so large. There was like a regular size and a small size, and I thought to myself, I should get the small. And then the words that came out of my mouth were, I'll get a regular, and it was too much ice cream.
Too much, yeah. That's fair. Well, give me another reason why you go for the cone, or two reasons actually.
Well, I think that with the cone, you kind of get more bang for your buck, right? Because you get to eat more.
Yes.
But also, I was talking to my friend Eliza yesterday, and she was saying that when you get a cone, they have to fill the cone, and then they put one scoop on top.
Yes.
Right? Whereas if you get a single scoop in a dish, right? You just get a single scoop.
That's true. That's true. When you scoop your own ice cream cone, do you do the same thing? Do you take a little bit and fill the bottom of the cone and then...
Well, yeah. What else are you...
That's what I do.
What else would you do?
I've seen people just take the scoop and put it on top and leave the cone kind of hollow.
What?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Why would you do
that? So
that?
I've almost had to correct and be like, actually, can you fill that cone a little bit?
Yeah.
Right? So, but...
What are we doing here?
Interesting. Okay, throw another one at me.
Well, it's also, you get really fun cones, right? So you can do
Yes.
waffle cones, which, to be fair, you do get charged more, but there's more space inside of them for more ice cream.
There is.
So, you know,
Yeah.
you get something for it at least.
And they taste good, don't they?
They taste so good, and then you
Yeah.
can dip them. I'm a cheapskate, so I've never got the cones dipped, but
Yeah.
they look
Yeah.
really great. So if you're like an Instagrammer
Yeah.
or like a foodie
Yeah.
and you want to post on your story, a cone looks way better than a cup.
Yeah, I think it does too. I'll give you that one. And I think that some of them taste great, but I'm the same as you. I would never probably upcharge it. I usually just get the normal cone, whatever they give me. But the cones are good. Here's the thing I like about cups, okay? Because I don't always finish my ice cream.
So fair.
And a cone, I can't exactly put that in the freezer. A cup, I can.
I suppose.
So like a cone, I'm sure you can get creative and do it to an extent, but with a cup, it's just so easy. Put it in, it's almost like eating yogurt or something, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like with a cup, you could save it a little bit better than you can with a cone.
This is true, but when I'm home, I typically would eat it in a cup anyway. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a cone. And so when I'm out, it's not like I have a freezer to put it in anyway.
That's true. That's true. When you're out, this advantage doesn't work. Give me another reason why the cone's better.
Oh, do I have another reason? You can make cones out of anything.
Yeah.
Is my hot take.
Okay.
You're not okay to
Yeah.
sugar cones and waffle cones.
That's true.
You can make it like, I was thinking about this yesterday in preparation for today.
Okay.
You could totally like bake like a cookie or something, and
Yes,
then
you
you could
could.
have like a cookie cone.
There you go. Yeah.
There's so many creative ways
You
that
can.
you can do cones. And even those bowls
Yeah.
that are like edible, that's
Yeah.
a cone.
Yes.
It's a cone, it's not a cup.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will die on that hill.
You're right, and I was almost going to bring that up, that there are bowls out there that you can munch on, I guess, to an extent,
Yeah.
right? But I would agree. If it's not going in the garbage, then it's a cone because you eat everything with it. Here's my last thought, okay, is
Okay.
that, and this is going to be the game changer in my opinion, okay, is that Sundays don't exist without a cup. Cups allow toppings, they allow fun, they allow marshmallows and sauce, and banana split would not happen on a cone. It needs a cup,
Yeah.
right? And like all these little inventions, all these blizzards and these kind of ice creams, they happen in cups. And I think for me, that's a fun way to do ice cream. And so the cup does have its merits for that stuff.
The cup has its merits. I would say banana split you can't do, but I
Okay.
will say with a cone, you can fill the cone with things or put things on top. And
It's
if you
true.
make a mess,
It's
that's
true.
your problem.
It's
I'm
true.
in the same boat.
Yeah. Do you care if you make a mess with your ice cream?
It depends on where I am. If I'm out and there's nothing to wash my hands with,
Okay.
yes, I do care.
Okay.
Because I do not want to have sticky fingers.
I hate that. Like that is one of my my ticks. It is anytime I get like anything sticky on my hand, like I have to wash them immediately and get that off. 'Cause I just don't like the feeling, right?
No, it's a terrible feeling.
So maybe that's why I typically go cups, because it lends less chance for me to do that. But at the end of the day, we parlayed this a little bit back and forth. We each picked a side, but I like the idea of the cone better, if I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I'll
Really?
come alongside on that to an extent, because the cone's fun, right? Like it feels old school, how I used to eat ice cream
Yeah.
as a kid. It's summery. It's looking
Nostalgic.
forward to it, right? I feel like in the winter, the cup makes more sense.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you eat ice cream in the winter?
I do. Oh, 100%.
You do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would even go out for ice cream in the winter.
Okay.
I was in dance for years, and
Yeah.
after dance, every single time I would ask my dad if we could have ice cream. That's not to say that we went and got ice cream every time, but every time I asked, and
Yeah.
that was even in the winter in tights and
Okay.
a little ballet skirt, right?
Interesting.
So weather is not dependent for me, but when I do get it,
Yeah.
I usually get a cup
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
I don't like the mess.
It feels like the right time of year for a cup, eh?
Yeah, and
So.
but even in the summertime, I'll get a cup most of the time, and often it's also like, what is my last bite gonna be? And I
Yeah.
don't want my last bite to be a cone.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want
there
it
you
to
go.
be ice cream, and
Yeah.
I find a cone, my mouth feels really dry
Okay.
if I have a cone as my last bite, and then I have to drink water.
Interesting.
Whereas if it's ice cream, especially the fruity flavors that I like,
Yeah.
it's not as big of an issue.
There you go. No, it makes sense. I'm going to ask the viewers out here. We're going to come back to this at the end anyways. But what kind of ice cream do you like? What's your favorite flavor? What do you dislike? Cone, cup? Where are you at? What do you like better? What do you often go for when you order ice cream? We're just tackling the real issues today, eh?
And where?
So,
where in the city? Tell me where to go.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Do you have a favorite place? You already mentioned Fable. Is that
I
your
do
favorite?
like Fable. The thing
Okay.
is, ice cream is so expensive too when you go out.
Okay.
But another good place is Homestead. Homestead has some good ice creams.
Okay.
But Fable might be my favorite. No, Ashley does not agree with me about Homestead.
Producer Ashley's not with you on that.
But that's okay. It's been a hot minute since I went there. The one time they used to do this thing where you could get a bowl full of 20 scoops of different flavors of ice cream.
Yeah. Yes.
And
The little dog pail.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so we did that, which was so,
Did you finish
so
it?
gross. I don't think we did. So I came for a pastor's kids retreat.
Yeah.
Which they used to do once in a while. And so I was with a whole bunch of people that I hardly knew,
And you
plus
were all
my
eating out of the
brother.
bowl of ice cream?
And we're all we're sharing this ice cream. And I was kind of the kid who was like, I'm not, your spoon cannot touch my food.
Yeah. This is pre-COVID, I assume.
It was pre-COVID, yes.
So-
Yeah, I would have been like 10 years old. So,
Okay. Well, that's fun. Interesting. I've always seen that little dog bowl there, and there's a challenge involved. And I think it's been finished before, but to me, it looks crazy. It looks daunting. So it's
Yeah.
funny that you actually took that on. For me, there's this place in Martinsville. Producer Ashley might be able to get the name of it for me. I think it's called Cones. Yes, it's called Cones. And this is a cool story because it's a building that was sort of abandoned in a park there. And some high schoolers got this idea of starting an ice cream business. And so they borrowed some money from one of their dads. They were on John Gormley's show on News Talk 650 in Saskatoon. And that's where I first caught wind of this.
Okay.
And the first weekend they were open, they made enough money to pay their dad back the money for the startup costs.
wow.
Yeah. And they've been running this thing now. I think it's like year 3 or 4 now. And their
Okay.
ice cream's fantastic. They got a business going. It's packed all the time.
Yeah. Well, one of my
And
days,
it
like,
worked
on
out
my
well for
way
them.
out to on my way out to Warman, I should
Yeah,
stop at
just stop in there and
Martinsville.
grab an ice cream. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of around the rec center area. It's called Cones, and it's super cool. It's a cool little
Okay.
spot. And honestly, the backstory for me makes a a lot there. So,
Yeah, 100%. We had a in Swift Current, back to Swift.
Here we go.
Um,
Swifty current.
They had Dairy King.
Oh yeah.
So we had a Dairy Queen, but Dairy King is only open in the summer.
Okay.
And it's got a little mini golf area,
Oh,
and
that's
it's like
awesome.
the spot.
That's even better.
Yeah.
I love those kind of places. Yeah, in Thompson, Manitoba, where I'm from, we had a place called the Dairy Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was our little ice cream place, and you can get like fries and burgers and stuff there too,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
But they call it the Dairy Dog. But small towns have these cool, or smaller places, sorry, have these cool little spin-offs. I find, and adding the mini golf and like different things, maybe arcades and stuff, just makes it an experience, right?
Yeah, you can make a whole day of it, right?
Yeah.
Or like a whole evening, right? Whereas
Exactly.
if you just have ice cream, like
Yeah.
you go and you chat with your friends maybe,
Yeah.
but the kids don't want to stick around for more than 10 minutes.
No, they want to eat and we're gone, kind of thing, right? So let us know what you think about ice cream, and we're gonna shift gears now and talk about In the Neighborhood.
In the Neighbourhood.
And so this past week at the Neighbourhood Church, Pastor Louis, I believe did he complete it? Our series
I think
in
it was
1
the
Peter?
last.
Yeah, I think he said it was the last message in the First Peter series. Now, one of the things I found unique about this series, and I liked it, is we kind of went everywhere. We didn't go chapter by chapter, verse by verse. And I love doing that sometimes. Don't get me wrong. So don't hear me wrong. I love it when we do it that way as well. But here we just went through different themes and different portions of scriptures. So one week we could be in chapter 1, which is where we started. But then we ended up in 3. We ended up back in 2. We were at 5. We came to 4. And this week we kind of ended up back there. And checking out some of the previous verses. And so to me, there were a lot of themes covered throughout this series that I thought were important. But this past week, he talked about suffering. Mm-hmm. And anything stand out to you? Any thoughts that you may want to chat about a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you can say so much about suffering. And I agree with you, by the way, about the way that we went about this sermon series. And I think it's really helpful when we orient people to the themes in a book,
Yeah.
right? Because then we can go back and we're building a Christian worldview.
Absolutely.
Right? And so one of those things is a theology of suffering,
Yeah.
right? And so what do we believe about suffering? And he talked a lot about Christ, and I think that that's a great place to start pretty much any time.
Yeah.
right? Like if we can't find Christ in the passage, we don't understand the passage well enough yet. So
I like that.
arming ourselves with the attitude of Christ, right? And understanding that we are not exempt at all from suffering. Actually, we're really promised to be taken care of in the midst of our suffering.
Yeah.
But that we will suffer, and in that to be anxious to do the will of God, right? And be aware that suffering is going to happen, but to not have that be something that invokes fear in us, right? But rather, as Plowman said, put me in, coach. I'm ready to die, right? And just to have that attitude, even though it's scary.
That was a funny story that he shared about his youngest son, right?
Yes.
Who wanted to play linebacker, and his coach didn't think that he was fit to play linebacker. But he said, put me in, coach, right? I'm ready to suffer here, whatever this brings, right?
Yeah.
And no, that is hilarious. I do, Pastor Louis alluded to one of the things that Christ did numerous times in the gospel, a few times anyways, we see it recorded, were these moments where he prayed and asked, like he did in Gethsemane, for example, like, God, if you're willing, let this pass. Like, I don't want to, like, don't let me drink from this cup kind of thing, right?
Yeah, take it away from
me.
me.
But he always ended it with, but not my will, but yours be done. And so Christ really just set the example for us, right? That, in all life, it's got to be this disposition and preparedness to say, not my will, but yours be done. And I don't know about you, but that's hard sometimes, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because we have wills and we have desires, and sometimes we want things to look a certain way. And praying the prayer, not my will, but yours be done. Like it's in the Lord's Prayer that Jesus taught us to pray, right?
Yeah. And it's a dangerous prayer too, right? Like, because you can say it. But that doesn't mean you actually feel that, right? Because we do have wills, and some of us have stronger wills than others. That's for sure.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. And so just that whole thought behind, that, in the midst of all of this, Lord, I'd rather have it this way, but not my will, yours be done. That's a powerful prayer. And that's when I think living by faith comes in the practice. I think that's when you see obedience and even submitting to the will of God.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the will of Charis or Jordan or whoever, right? And just allowing, us to make sure that we follow him. One of the things that Pastor Louis said is to, in the midst of it all, do what is right and trust God with the results. And so obedience in the midst of those tough times is of utmost importance, right? And trust God with the results. And when he said that, it got me thinking about sometimes how we, as Christians, can put undue pressure on ourselves to try to change somebody or try to get somebody to see things from our perspective. We just got to do what's right. And we got to trust that God's going to do the rest. And we got to leave the results to God. Are you good at that?
I am constantly being made more like the image of Christ through his gentle and loving discipline is what I will say.
Okay.
I'm not always good at it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But learning to, when things don't go the way that we plan them.
Yeah.
And I'm a planner. I have the next year and a half of my life planned out as we speak. And I guarantee you it's not going to go exactly the way that I want it to.
Yeah.
But just realizing that when we are surrendering to the will of the Father, right, that his plan for us is so much greater than ours, right? And it's coming back to that realization that that God really does love us.
Yeah.
And he actually really does have the best plan for my life. So that when those things aren't exactly how I want them to be, right? Like it's okay. And so, and when other people don't see things from my perspective, I really like to be liked. I do not. I want people to understand my heart, right? And I have a desire to be understood, just like everybody does,
for sure,
right? But to release that desire it's a high order.
Yeah.
Right. And the need to be understood and just to trust that God understands us and that he is, even if nobody else knows what's happening or fully understands your heart, he does.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You said you're a planner. Does it annoy you when your plans get interrupted?
It used to a lot.
'Kay.
Now I can go with the flow more. That's part of like being in a relationship with people
Yeah.
and learning how different people function.
Yeah.
And even over the last few years, like since I've graduated high school, my plan changes often, right? And
Yeah.
allowing the plan to change as I learn things about myself and
Yeah.
and as I figure out what giftings the Lord has given me, right? And to release the picture that I have of like this utopia that will one day be when I actually start my life, and to realize that I'm living right now,
Yeah.
and allow myself to be flexible.
No, I understand that completely, and that's good. And I think I've definitely gotten better at that part too. I'm a routine person though, and so when my
Okay.
routine gets interrupted, it's tough for me, and I got to learn to. It's okay, Jordan.
Okay.
and I like my routines. I like the day to start like this and this and this and this, and the week to go this way, right? And when something gets suddenly thrown at me, I got to adjust. And those are the moments I find where I have to. That's why when you said that, it stood out to me so much, because that's something I'm learning and
Yeah,
always
and
in process, right?
I'm sure. And as a parent of
Yeah.
like two
Well,
young
that's the
girls,
biggest
right?
thing,
Like
yeah.
things just
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, you expect things to look like this, and it's like, no, it's not really how it is, but it happens, and it works out, right? Pastor Louis said one more thing I'll mention is he said you could either pursue comfort or live boldly, and I think that's so critical in the world that we live in, because in North America, we're just so encouraged to pursue what's comfortable, right? What's good for me, what's good for my time, my routine, calling myself out here, right? And what I want to see happen, and yet the call of Christ tells us to live boldly and to pursue what Christ wants, and that's not always easy.
No.
And to an extent, that requires sacrifice and obedience, and I'm going to say humility, because oftentimes, being humble enough to recognize that His will is above mine, that comes down to pride and humility, I think.
And it
to an
comes down
extent.
to even sacrificing identity,
Yep.
right? And like laying that down too in like, I need things to go this certain way for my sake, right? And
Yeah.
and pursuing comfort, and pursuing comfort even in what is comfortable for me and how I think of myself, right? But to even be able to and willing to surrender that attitude that maybe is, that's not my gifting, I'm not going to do that, or that's not comfortable for me, that conversation isn't comfortable for me, putting myself in that position isn't comfortable. And not that we should feel unsafe or uncomfortable all of the time, like we shouldn't be living in anxiety, but to say, okay, it's not my gifting to go and greet the new person at church, because that's actually really scary for me.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm going to do it
Do it, yeah.
because I know that is important, and that's Christ-like.
Yeah. No, I like that. Sometimes it does require us not to fully function 100% at that spot, but sometimes we have to step out and function at that spot because Christ calls us to, right?
Yeah.
So 100% community. You had some thoughts on that.
I do have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah,
on
you can share
community.
some. I'm interested to hear.
Sure. Okay. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot at church lately is community, and the importance of connecting with people and getting people connected, and doing that thing where we go and we talk to the strangers at church, and we go and we invite them to do things, and we've been having the barbecues, and I think that it's so important, and especially right now, like we have a loneliness epidemic, especially kids,
Definitely.
like I would say elderly retirees, very lonely, people fresh out of high school, very lonely, right? Because there's not as much structure. Once you're retired from work, you don't have your work friends unless you intentionally go out. Once you're out of school, you have to intentionally go out and seek community. And you can say that about any season of life, right? Like new parents will find it lonely at different times, and and kids are so lonely. But when we are able to be community, and when the church is able to be community, that is so important and so beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it kind of brings a solution to what we see in society, right? And it's funny that you said that actually about when you leave high school, because I look back at my time in life now, and I recognize that at the time I didn't pinpoint and identify it, but I was struggling with that for sure, because you're used to being somewhere 8 hours, like 40 hours a week around people. You have your routine, right?
Yeah.
And then you're on your own and you're working and you got this, and you still see some of these folks, but you don't have the comforts that you once had. So finding community is such an important thing. And I believe as a church that, you know, we're called not only to attend church, but we're called to contribute, and we're called to be a part of the community, right?
Yeah.
And to love each other and to care for one another. And I like, I'm going to read a note you wrote here,
Please.
okay? I like what you wrote here. There's a loneliness epidemic and the church has a solution. And I agree with you on that, right? And I think if the church is fully functioning the way it's supposed to, we will see people come together in relationship and have those loving relationships that each one of us need. We need encouragement. We need people to challenge us. You know, we need people to strengthen us and to walk with us and to pray with us. And, you know, to me lately, the emphasis on community has been a really good thing, and I've been appreciating it. And it's cool to see it happen. And when you see results and you look around and see people actively involved in conversation, and these barbecues that we're having at the Neighbourhood Church over the summer, people coming together and spending time at each other's homes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's getting closer to, I think, what Christ would desire for his people.
100%. And we need it so badly, right? And kids need it, and the youth need it. And like, even I did grow up in Swift Current. That's where I spent like between ages of 8 and 16. I lived in Swift Current. And those were very formative years, I would say. And our church didn't have anybody my age. Not a single person. It was like me and my siblings, kids younger than us, and kids and like adults, and then people who were like extra grandparents to me, right? And so even though that wasn't like a community that I would go and hang out with for fun, right? Like, it was still a place where I was loved and cared for, right?
Absolutely.
And so, and when we have spaces like that where we're consistently plugged into, people just pour into you.
Yeah.
And you are then able to pour out into them, right? And it's just, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. I love what you said there too about the generations as well, like indirectly what you communicated there, that it doesn't have to be necessarily that I only hang out with people my age, right? But the generations can pour into each other's lives, can help each other, can walk with each other, be a blessing to each other, and find community with one another, right? And the church works function when the kids have the adults, and then the older adults have the young adults, and, you know, and we all kind of can come together as one and love each other and learn from each other's experiences. And, you know, I can learn from people who went before me of experiences from history, you know, and from their history and from their experiences. And I can learn from those younger than me who could teach me a thing or two about how to use this thing as I was having problems before we started today, right? And just different things like that. So community, I think we agree, is so important, right?
Yeah. And to be like Christ is to be in community, right? Like he had community.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like we don't practice solitude and silence and all of those great practices that are outside of community, perhaps. Because Christ also took lots of time to be alone with the Father. But
absolutely,
he had community. He engaged in that, and he had his disciples, and he had his family, and he grew up in community. And I think that we were designed for it. We were made for it.
100%.
And when we don't have that, we're missing part of what it means to be truly human.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's great. We'll end with that. At a previous church I worked at, we used to always make the statement, you can't do life alone. And I think it's so true. So we're going to move into our final section. How about you?
How about you?
At this point, we're going to look at a couple comments that came in last week. So I think this is in the context of talking about Paris, because we brought up some Olympic talk, right?
Yeah.
And somebody wrote in the comments a quote that someone said on this show.
Somebody.
Being Charis.
Who knows?
Just not hot enough for the stench. Quote of the day, LOL. And so we were talking about Paris at that point, right?
Yes.
And you'd visited?
I had, yes. Yeah. I went last October.
And you heard that it can smell bad when it's hot out?
Yeah. Although I was talking to Eliza. Okay. She lived there for about 8 months.
Okay.
She did a YWAM out there.
Yeah.
And she was there in the heat of the summer. And so some areas smell really bad. The metro smells really bad because there's lots of people living in the metro.
Interesting.
But other parts of the city, it's just like any other city, apparently, for the amount of smell.
That's interesting. Well, or in Saskatchewan, in these parts, we can sometimes smell it during farming season, right? Like
Yeah.
the air can get a little interesting around here, right? But that was hilarious that we got that comment. We appreciate that. Another comment we got was, it is nice when seniors have the opportunity to sing a hymn that they can connect to and feel they're contributing a part of the service, even if it's minimum. That's when we talked about, I believe it was the Philippines, who were developing their own songs and style of worship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for that comment. And I agree. And I've always loved hymns. Yourself?
They're so beautiful, and they have
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
theology. I think we spoke
they're
about
very
that.
rich,
Yes.
right? And so it's good to have that as part of our worship expression. And thank you for weighing in and for coming at us with that. Today, we're going to ask a few questions. We'll talk about what we talked about on the show. What do you think of this whole Taylor Swift craze? Are you in? Are you out? Are you like some of the people who just got so tired of hearing about her in football last year that maybe it's gone bitter for you? See, that didn't bug me so much, but I have friends who were just like, enough with this, right?
Really?
Yeah, she really took over the NFL last year when her and
Okay.
Travis Kelce started dating. And I guess right now, as we speak, they're building the world's largest friendship bracelet to try to, as an attempt to get her to come here. We may have Swiftie current at some point, and Charis just can't wait, right?
I'm really excited. No.
So let's see how that pans out. What else did we talk about? Ice cream, flavors, places to go to, cup or cone. I almost said cup or dish. That'd been the same thing,
That
I
would have
guess,
been
right?
the same thing.
So let us know what you think about ice cream. And First Peter, at the church, we've been talking about this a lot. We've been having an emphasis on community. Why is community important to you? Why do you need community? What do you like about community? What's difficult about community? You even weigh out on that, right? And this whole teaching of suffering and not my will but yours be done. It's difficult stuff, but it's important stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd like to hear what you have to say. Do you have any final words?
I might see you next week.
You might,
Probably not.
yeah.
But
Well, we never know what's going to happen here, right? So, thank you so much, Charis, for joining me today and
Thank
for having
you.
this discussion. And for the rest of you, have yourself a great week and enjoy the upcoming long weekend.
Unedited is a ministry expression of the Neighbourhood Church. Hosted by Ethan Andrews and Jordan McClellan. Produced by Ashley Drayton. Find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.